Dirk, we have so many things in front of us. What is this?
This represents some of my research notes that I composed during the research phase of The Tempest in Glass. I researched for about 8 months before I wrote anything. This is a character list. Only 3 of these characters actually made it into the final manuscript, all with different names. And again, these are some early notes that I wrote down before I was just kind of thinking through the story. And at one point I was going to have a talking donkey in the story.
Oh, glad we don't have that one.
Yeah, that got cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at all these sources, how do you select which ones make it to your research, to your novel?
That's a good question. Well, if I go back to the notes I just showed you, as you can see, some of them are circled in red. Those are the ones that at some point I had decided, okay, I'm going to retain this.
Okay.
Everything else got scrapped.
Were there other novels that inspired you, that you kind of fed some of your ideas from or creativity from?
Yeah, mostly Ian Fleming. My favorite author is Ian Fleming, so his writing style and just his psychology was highly influential. Dashiell Hammett, The Maltese Falcon, famous classic. And oddly enough, Raymond Chandler, oddly enough, they're not in my genre. These are detective stories. These are spy stories. But what I was going for was the style, kind of disciplined exoticism that I hope comes through in my narrative.
Is there anything you did not use, that you did not like, or maybe something that you're like iffy about incorporating or not?
Well, at one point I was going to use the Bandiaga Escarpment in Mopti region of Mali as one of the locations.
Okay.
But I decided, no, that's just getting too much. So I incorporated into Antonio Valdez. Him and his mother went to a missions trip here, which is referenced. So I still use the location, but just as a reference, not as an actual action part of the story.
Now, where we did the locations we did read on, how were those selected?
There's a book here somewhere called Sacred Places, and I was just blown away by how many sacred places there are in the world. So that, it was just a book filled with photographs and descriptions of many of these sacred places, and that came from all different cultures, all different parts of the world. So I read those, and from that book I selected 2 locations, Teotihuacan, Mexico, and Castlereagh Stone Circle in Cumbria, England, as 2 primary locations in the novel.
All right, fascinating. Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
Got it. And what do we have over there?
This is the Geneva Bible of 1560. This is a very unique Bible. This is a facsimile. This is not an original. An original would be worth thousands. But the unique thing about the Geneva Bible of 1560 was that this would have been the book that the Pilgrims carried to the New World on the Mayflower. It was this Bible. And the other unique thing about this Bible is that it was one of the first English Bibles to have the verses numbered. Because the original manuscripts, the Aramaic, the Hebrew, and the Greek, they were just scrolls. That's why in the Bible Jesus says, somewhere it says. There were no references, Jeremiah 33:3, which by the way is right here. Call to me and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. So and then it was also one of the first English Bibles to have commentary written on the sides. It was also one of the first Bibles, I think it might have been the first Bible, to be printed in Roman type as opposed to Gothic. So it was much easier to read. So this Bible has a huge place in history as to the evolution, the replication of how the Bible was printed and distributed.
And you mentioned in our interview that the Bible was a very important source of inspiration for your novel.
Absolutely. So that's why this book is here, because if it weren't for this book, The Tempest in Glass would have never happened.